Good afternoon. Welcome at today's edition of NMH at 1, where we bring you a quick update of the news around the country. Today, all of us, with the exception of Walfish Bay, are excited to start with stage 3 of the easing of our lockdown. And this is in spite of another COVID-19 case that was announced yesterday, bringing the total number of cases to 25. But the good news is that the Romanian couple, case number 1 and 2, are finally in the clear after 79 days. We are really happy for them. Justicia Shipena was at the COVID Communication Center this morning for the latest update. And there, Sanet Steenkamp, the Executive Director of the Ministry of Education, spoke of indemnity forms that need to be signed by parents of all private and state school learners. More about that.
For the schools, it is very clear. We have made it very clear that this is a legal document. And therefore, all legal matters, we do refer them to the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General. What we can say is that if parents are truly not happy, if they are not sure about the safety measures, the hygiene measures put in place at a school, we encourage parents then to visit the school, to familiarize themselves and to have discussions with the school management on that issue. The schools have made it very clear that they are following all due guidelines, and Ms. Bourne was very clear on the guidelines that we are giving the schools. And we don't just give the guidelines, we also give the resources for it to be put in place, and we create the enabling environment and processes for it to be put in place. So it is really a matter that parents will have to take up, and then the issues on the legal stance of the indemnity form, as I said, it is something that the Minister of Justice will gladly respond to. Indemnity forms were even used in the past when children go on trips, and still parents used to sign that. We know that there's a lot of fears and a lot of anxiety, and this is why I earlier said I feel that this has been driven by fear and uncertainty. About one region specifically, Omasati has got 41 senior secondary schools. Out of the 41, they've got 14 boarding hostels. Basically, all the boarding hostels are ready except for Onesi Senior Secondary School. Onesi has a persistent problem with underground water leakage that affects the hostel blocks. We now will address that long term because there were 6 projects that we will still address across the country with funding from the African Development Bank. Now, where we have persistent bigger problems that requires major renovation, you cannot allow children to go back. At Onesi Senior Secondary School, we cannot have children go back immediately. Secondly, there's Shikongo Ipinge, David Shihama, as well as Haudano, where also the issue of water is being addressed to. Some of them are short term, which means that the children can return within a week. But for Onesi, we talk about 310 learners that are affected and that will not return immediately, but will be given a space of either a week or 2 weeks until some of the problems have been clearly addressed. The other option would be to look at other hostels, but that would mean that your teachers would also need to move. So those are the practical things that some regions are working on. So out of the 41 schools in Omasati, who has the biggest number of grade 11 and 12 learners, 5 schools at this given moment tomorrow will not be ready to open. In Kavango East, there's a specific school where they will take their learners to Divundu Combined School. In Taras, we have Ernst Jager that burned down the hostel block, and actually the hostel block burned down as well for boys as well as for girls. Those learners will be moved to Karasburg High School. The same in Taras region again, in Karasburg itself, in the south. There's schools that are renovated. Lordsville Secondary. And these learners will also be moved to Karasburg High School. So to answer the question, where we have on-site that Nestle, along with other 5 schools, will be beneficiaries, including Ernst Jager in Karas region, will be beneficiaries still of the savings that we made on the projects for African development. So it's mostly those schools. Where water is a problem.
Water in Ochisan,
So it come in Chumkwe, but the region is already contemplating either to hold them back for a 1 week, the 47 learners, or to take them to Grootfontein for the teaching and learning to start.
Let's take a look at the contract.
Being formalized and continuing past COVID 2019. We must remember that if the child does not come to school, you have additional strain on the teacher to prepare additional material for the learner. That is an implication if children do not return to school. Ms. Bourne the other day talked about the issue of, so what would mean is that that informal learning will have to continue at home, but the parent will have to take full ownership to make sure that the children are meeting the targets and the children are meeting the specific learning outcomes that we want to see. So how do
Now on to returning to our new normal. Our journalists out in the field report that rows are long where Namibians can once again buy alcohol. We are hoping that restaurants where patrons can have sit-down lunches and dinners again will quickly make up for the business that they've lost in the past 2 months. We bring you an update on those stories in tomorrow's printed editions. In the meantime, this video by Ogone Shage shows scores of shebeen owners that lined up in the northern industrial area in Windhoek today to buy beer at Namibia Breweries' Central Business Centre. A while later, Yandi du Plessis visited a number of restaurants to see if they are ready for their first patrons. Walk-in, of course, they cannot accept walk-in patrons. You have to book beforehand. But things seem to be a bit quieter there. But back to that video by Ogone. And Yolanda Nell of Windhoek Express covered the story of a group of dynamic ladies from Run for Dignity who handed over some goods to vulnerable communities. More about that.
Can you just maybe tell us more about this initiative?
This initiative started when a lady in our congregation brought it under my attention that we have the kids that have the need. They are in not favorable conditions when they arrive here. And then a friend of mine and I decided to run a marathon last year to collect funds for to make the kits. Last year, November, we brought the first batch. It was about 150 kits for both boys and girls. And then earlier this year, we were informed that the kits are almost finished and we had to make a few more. We luckily have the sponsorship from Vuto, which really makes this possible. As you see, the kits have quite a lot of items in them, and funds in these times don't come in as one would prefer. We also have ladies from outside of Windhoek. We have my mother-in-law and Ms. Beekes at the Ochu Old Age Home. They make the dresses for us at a very small fee, and they give us the material sometimes. We also have to purchase bulk of the material. And we have another lady also in Ochu. She's a retired person, Ms. Van der Merwe. She makes some of the dolls for the smaller kids. So this is really a community project. It's part of our church, sharing goodwill.
Yeah.
But it's a big project. It's bigger than what we expected because we have the help of such a big sponsor and individuals just around the country.
And why do you deem it necessary to become involved with a project like this?
For Vuto, it's very important to take part in or give back to the community. And we are very fortunate to be a Namibian distributor with principals that are willing to help us give back to our community. And we are very fortunate, and we are very honored to help and assist people in these unfortunate situations in Namibia.
And Miss Elizabeth, how do you feel about the contribution you just received?
Absolutely ecstatic. When especially children come to us in situations like that, it is the worst possible day that they can imagine and that we can imagine. These kids give back their dignity. The police will say here, in most cases, they have to collect the clothes. Then there is nothing for their child to wear. And we will rummage through whatever we can find, which also means it's old tattered clothes that we have to give this child who has just been violated. With these kids, we are giving back their dignity. We are telling them that we respect you and we are giving back your power that that person has taken from you. So in a lot of ways, even the Bibles have been very helpful for children. Some of them can't even read, but they will take the Bible and ask their mom, read me a story. It's okay. Because at that time, if that is what the child needs, then that is what the child needs.
Yeah.
And this is given this opportunity, this kid is given that opportunity for the mom to give that to the child, that security, that love. From wherever it comes, it's coming from a good place, and it is most definitely received with love.
Okay, do you think Namibians are aware of the situation, of what you are dealing with daily?
Most Namibians. No. Our cases have been reported widely. Most Namibians are aware that we do have a high child sexual violence cases, which is not a good statistic for any country. It does not speak well about our society as a whole, but it is happening. But this is also one way we can make people aware that when you violate a child in that way, you are actually affecting a society in the future. So maybe with these kids it might seem small, but it is the bigger impact that counts, that when they did reach out for help, we could restore. We hope.
Thank you so much.
Welcome back, and in our next slot, colleague Jereen Hoff interview Fulbright PhD scholar from America, Bernard Shaw, about his experiences in Namibia. He decided not to move back to his home country for the lockdown period, but stayed here to continue his studies. More on that.
Thank you, Bernard, for joining us this morning. Please tell us why you are in Namibia. So my name is Bernard Moore. I'm a PhD candidate at Michigan State University in the USA and a research associate here at UNAM. I'm in Namibia researching for a PhD in the economic history of agriculture in southern Namibia, which, as most people may know, is overwhelmingly the karakul industry. So my study looks at placing this industry in a broader history of Namibia and a global economic history. How does what happens on an individual farm in, let's say, Kitmans district affect what is happening at a fur shop in New York? What does labor relations on that farm look like? And what are some of the broader issues which lead to transforming from one kind of farming to another? Those are the sorts of questions that my study seeks to address.
Bernard, you've been in Namibia on and off for 8 years. What do you find fascinating about the country?
Namibia is a peaceful country filled with beautiful and kind people. It's not a country where you ever have to really worry seriously about crime. It's a country where the beer is delicious and the steaks are nice. And I was born in Kansas, so I like to think that I know about good meat. So Namibia is a welcoming place, and it's also a fun place if you're a sort of an outdoorsy type of person. And I think Windhoek is a large enough city to also enjoy.
You're one of the expats that decided to stay in Namibia in spite of calls to go home. Why did you decide to stay at home or to stay in Namibia in this time of Corona?
Well, the main reason why I chose to stay was simply that Namibia has done quite a lot to ensure that its citizens remain safe during Corona. Very quickly, lockdown restrictions were put into place. Very quickly, borders were closed. I'm funded through the Fulbright Commission of the United States, and while most people who were funded under my scheme were returned to the United States, I received clearance from them to remain in the country, partially because Namibia has done quite a lot in order to ensure that the infection rates do not increase to the level that they are in the United States. So I feel quite safe here, much more so than if I was in my native country.
What's next for you in terms of your studies?
So currently, I've been doing quite a lot of work in the National Archives of Namibia, reading up on some of these old documents and old reports about the history of farming in the South. I've also been spending a little time on the farms themselves, speaking with the kind of farmers and farm workers who have agreed to tell me a bit about their lives and their history. So I plan on continuing doing this and trying to get a much better picture of what has happened over the past 100 years in the south of Namibia.
Bernard, thank you very much for taking time with us this morning, and we look forward to reading about your thesis.
Well, thank you very much.
In today's headlines, Namibian Sun reported on how the agriculture sector faces 7.1 billion in debt, and due to the drought, it is expected that the industry will take between 3 and 5 years to recover. Algemeine Zeitung also leads with this today. Republican spoke to independent candidate Panduleni Itula and other opposition party leaders on their expectations of Thursday's State of the Nation address. In other national dailies, the Namibian runs with a story on how some private schools have requested parents to sign COVID-19 indemnity forms for when pupils return to school, while New Era leads with political commentators who have high expectations for President Kaingop's State of the Nation address tomorrow. There are wonderful community stories in today's Republican. Tanya Bowser spoke to a Namibian woman who is traveling across the Hoogland, heading to Swakopmund all on her own. A spiritual journey, she told Tanya, and this feat she hopes to cover in 36 days. Also in Republican today is community news from our Irongo office at the coast. Food parcels have been handed out to vulnerable communities in Walfish Bay by the Live to Ride motorbike club, and Irene Marie van der Walt reported on how plans are underway to host the second Spitskopper Rock Fest in September this year. Inserted in all dailies, of course, today is again our educational material, and this time it's week 4 for the grade 2 and 3 learners, and the focus is on traditional and modern house building materials. Then the Namibian also ran a wonderful story on Decilla van Wyk, a media and communication student in India, and she tells us what it was like returning to a motherland amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. Before we sign off, we would like to wish Mrs. Martha Tromp a wonderful centenary today. May she stay healthy and be blessed with good health. Until we, and yes, also tuned in for a weather snapshot, and then it is until next time. Stay healthy, and we see you again tomorrow.